Devotional. Just a reminder, during this Lenten season, we are using this time to preview our sermon because our Lent challenge to you and to our people is to commit to corporate worship, which is just to commit to going to church. So we're just giving you a little preview of what's to come. And today we are going into the story of Lazarus and Lazarus' resurrection by Jesus. Now, John's gospel, called the Maverick Gospel by some, which I love, is not considered a synoptic gospel. Now, a synoptic gospel means the stories are very similar, they run in a similar format and timeline, and they all kind of jive. John's gospel does not. As a matter of fact, there's some very key differences to the way John tells the story of Jesus. And he's telling a specific story about Jesus. Now, he's telling things that are true. He is saying things that do not conflict with the other gospels, but he's changed the order to reveal something about Jesus. Now, that is very, very important for a lot of reasons that we don't have time to go into in this format. But the gospel that John is presenting is a very specific one. Now, the ministry of Jesus in most of the other Gospels is concluded with the clearing of the temple. The clearing of the temple prompts the religious leaders and the politicians of Jerusalem to say, hey, we got to get this guy out of here. He's threatening our power. We're done with him. So they plot to get him, and they arrest him, and they crucify him. Well, not John's gospel. John's gospel actually begins with the clearing of the temple. We talked about that a few weeks ago. But now we are actually moving towards the end of Jesus' ministry in John's gospel, and it is concluding with the resurrection of Lazarus. Now, I think what John is painting a picture of when he talks about Jesus is a very incarnational God who is very present and very relational. So incarnational, meaning he is here, he is literally, flesh, but also relational in that he has actual relationships. He's not a ghost. He's not some distant God. He's here. He's personal. He relates to us. And I think if you go just a little bit before the clearing of the temple in John's gospel, you go to the wedding in Cana of Galilee, where Jesus turns water to wine. Now, in that story, you have Mary going to Jesus, and he says, Jesus, they're out of wine. Can you please do something? And Jesus says, hey, it's not my time yet. But he is moved by his mother's request. His mom asks him. Not just anybody, his mom asks him. So he moves, he acts, he creates water out of wine, and it's a beautiful story. Now, here we are at the end of Jesus' ministry, and we have another relational pull. Mary and Martha, Lazarus' sisters, send word to Jesus, and their words are very specific. Their words say, your friend Lazarus is sick. Your friend. They're pulling on that relation with Jesus. And Jesus is very clear. He loves Lazarus. We have the words of agape and phileo, which are both love in the Greek, and they mean different pieces, but this friendship, and it's just self-giving love that he feels for Lazarus. And he is moved, but he doesn't act, which is strange because we also have in the Gospel of John, Jesus heals from afar. He heals in all kinds of ways. But he doesn't heal Lazarus here. As a matter of fact, he stays where he's at for 2 days. So what's important to notate here is even though God, through Jesus, is moving and active and can do all these things, he can't be coerced. Jesus is very clear. This is going to be for my glory, for God's glory. And it does. It turns out to be for his glory. But only in its time. Jesus is holy. He is God's Son, and he only acts in God's will. We want him to be holy. We need him to be holy, to call us to that holiness. Hey, looking forward to seeing you Sunday. We have more time to talk about this.